I'm here today with James from Hammock for a third time. He's come along to share with the community how you can use Hammock to get your landlords ready for making tax digital. So hello, James.
Hello.
Hello, James, and I can't wait to get started. Let me please hand over to James with a warm virtual round of applause. James.
Thank you very much, Simon. And yeah, thank you everybody for joining this morning. So I'm going to be taking you through a demo of our software, which will help you get your landlords ready for MTD and obviously get your firm ready as well. Before I start, I just want to do a little intro into me and the company. So we've been around for nearly 4 years now. And when we started, we were only selling to landlords. So it's important to say this is a software that was built by landlords for landlords. I'm a landlord, and when we started, the three of us were all landlords here. We built this software for us, and kind of, I guess, selfishly thought that probably all other landlords would benefit from it as well. And that does seem to be the case, thankfully. So yeah, we were just selling directly to landlords. And then probably about 2 years ago now, we just started getting loads of versions of the same email, which were emails from our clients' accountants, basically saying, my client, John, who I usually have to chase 3 times only to get a spreadsheet right before the deadline, which often made no sense. They've just sent me something without me asking in June. They said they got it from Hammock. How can I access this myself, just like I do with other bookkeeping software? And there's only so many times you can get that email before you realize that there's clearly an opportunity here. And I think we knew making tax digital was coming. And so those two things combined meant that this was something we really needed to go after. So we launched our accountant dashboard, and really since then it's just gone off like a rocket. It's clear that landlords for MTD-ready is something that accountants are really worried about, and we have a really unique place in the market, I guess, because we were built for landlords. As I take you through this software, you're going to see there's all the stuff that you need to comply with MTD, but there's an awful lot in here which is really just for the landlord, and that means that engagement rates are way higher. Landlords actually want to use it rather than you have to, forcing them, dragging, kicking and screaming to use the software. So I hope that will all come across today. Now, I don't know if anybody on this call has seen Hammock before, but we release new features all the time. And the new feature that I really want to talk a bit about today as we go through the demo is our furnished holiday lets functionality, which we've just released. So as we go through, you'll see as I highlight those pieces. But with that being said, as Simon said, they do make this interactive. Ask questions. It certainly makes it more interesting for me as well. So anything you want to ask, and Simon will interrupt. But with that being said, let's actually crack on and let's actually have a look at Hammock. So hopefully you can see my screen, and this is Hammock. So I'm basically going to do the demo in 3 stages. The first stage, which will be the biggest stage, is really it's focused on the landlord platform, and this I'm going to be basically covering bookkeeping and tax. So all the stuff that both you and the landlord are kind of interested in together. Once we've done that, I'm going to pop over to show you the accountant dashboard. It would just be for a few minutes to show you how you can actually access your client's data, and we'll talk a bit about how it's going to work for making tax digital. And then once we've done that, we're just going to jump back into the landlord platform, and I'm going to run through kind of 3 or 4 features which are really just for the landlord. But as I said before, these are the features that actually get your landlords wanting to use the software. So when you're taking it out to your clients, they're the things you lead with. MTD is almost like, oh, and by the way, it gets you ready for MTD. So here we are. We're on the landlord platform. As you can probably see here, you've got this menu down the left-hand side, which helps you navigate the different pages. And I'm starting you off here on the properties page. I always like to start here because I think it really speaks to what I was saying before about, we built this for landlords, and it probably doesn't really look like any other bookkeeping software you've used. Even little things like as soon as the landlord adds a property, we pull an image from Google Street View. So they see their property, they always get very excited as soon as they see it, and it just sort of starts that momentum of them, getting excited about the platform. You can also see for each property, I can actually see how much money I'm making. You'd be amazed how few landlords, even those that just have one or two properties, don't actually always know that. So they can see how profitable they are. They can see if their tenants owe them any money. Could even, if they want to drill down a bit further, get property valuation, see what their loan to value is. But I think most importantly on this page, the thing that I wanted to kind of highlight is this portfolios. One of the kind of problems with accounting for landlords is that, for every landlord you have who just has one property in their own name, you'll have another who's got joint ownership, or, they have one property that they own with two of their siblings, or, one in a limited company, which can make it quite tricky. But the good thing about Hammock is you can use the portfolios to show different ownership structures and manage everything in one place. So in this example, this first property here, this is a property I own with my wife. She owns 75%, I own 25%. So I've set up a portfolio called joint ownership with those percentages. The next two are just in my personal name. So they go into my personal portfolio. And this bottom one is in a limited company. So it just means that as a landlord, I can manage everything together. But then when we get to the tax statement area, you'll see how we split it out so that you get exactly what you need in the kind of portions and percentages that you need them. And then the final thing I want to point out here is you'll notice here that this property under occupied says FHL. And that's because I've set this property up as a furnished holiday let. So when you add the property, you have the option to do that. And this one just acts slightly differently to the kind of more generic tenancies. And I'll show you that as we go through the platform. So, as you can see, you've got all your figures here, but you're probably thinking, okay, but where do these figures come from? And the answer to that is they come from the bank feed, as you probably guessed. So let's jump over to the transaction screen. So I've added one bank account here, but you can add as many as you like. And then if we scroll down, we've then got all these filters. These help you navigate the transaction. So you can search like by keyword, date, amount, type, etc. So there's loads of ways to really navigate and find the transactions that you want to track. And then underneath, you've just got all your transactions feeding through. And you can see anything that has a green category, that's already being tracked. You can see these are all linked to a property. They're already feeding through the platform. But everything else that just says click to track, these are currently being ignored. And that's another key kind of point of difference, I think, to Hammock compared to other more generic tools, is that, some of you, I'm sure, will know that a lot of especially your smaller landlords, they probably just use their personal accounts, which means that, 90% of the transactions in there have absolutely nothing to do with property. And the good thing about Hammock is, if that's the case, you just do not need to track them. You only need to categorize the transactions which relate to your properties. Everything else you can ignore. And, especially for your small landlords, especially your one property landlords who qualify for MTD, realistically, that's just going to be, you're just going to be tracking one rent payment, one mortgage payment, maybe one insurance payment a month. And then Hammock's automation kicks in and tracks them automatically. So let me give you an example of how it works. Let's imagine that this transaction here is some insurance for one of my properties. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the transaction. The menu opens up on the right-hand side, asking me to categorize. So we're going to go insurance. This is my landlord insurance for 23 New Church Road. Click save, and that's now done. That's tracked, categorized. And because that one is a regular payment, I pay that every month, that's now just going to start tracking automatically. So going forward, I won't need to do anything. I'll just get a notification to let me know that my landlord insurance has gone out. But when we kind of get your landlord set up on Hammock, and I'll talk a bit more about how we do that at the end, actually, but when we get your landlord set up, we're going to want to take them back to at least the start of the last tax year. So, in this case, April 21, so that you have that full tax year that you can sort of get started with straight away. And to do that, we make it really easy. So I've tracked this one transaction. then all I do is I scroll down and I've got these two options to track other transactions. So we've got search and track, and we've got view matching transactions. They're similar, but slightly different. So I'll show you both. But let's start with this one. So you can see here, Hammock has actually gone through my whole bank feed and it's found some similar transactions. So if I click on here, it says, right, this is what you've just tracked as landlord insurance. And all of these look similar. And you can see this is sort of May, April, March. So these are all my monthly payments. I can just select all of those, click track, and I've just done, an entire year's worth of insurance payments. And moving forward, it's just going to track automatically. So, that's kind of dealt with now. The next thing I might do is deal with my rent payments. So I know my tenant actually puts TSB at the start of their payment reference. So if I use the keyword filter and search for TSB, it then isolates all these payments. And you can see they pay £420 a month, going all the way back to October. So again, I can click on any of these. This time I get the income categories. So we're going to select rental income. Again, link it to a property. The only difference here is because it's rental income, we also need to link it to a tenant. Click save. And you can see again, this is tracked and categorized. But I want to obviously track all these other transactions as well. So again, I just scroll down. I've got those same two options. And actually, I could use the same one even, but for the purpose of the demo, I'd love to show you what this one does. So if we click on search and track, you'll notice now every box here becomes tickable. So again, I can just select all from here, update 8 transactions. With rental income, again, it's going to start tracking automatically now. So next month when Tom pays the rent, I'm just going to get a notification that the rent's been paid, which is, for any landlord is a really nice feature. But even better than that, if Tom is late with the rent next month, I'll get a notification that my rent is late as well, so I can start chasing it. So that's kind of tracking income and expenses, especially for. Oh, go on, Simon.
James, we got some questions come in. Jason's asked, are there any banks that you don't have feeds with?
The only main one is Metro Bank, but other than that, we have pretty much every bank in the UK.
Okay. Why are the dates in US format and not UK?
That is a question for our designer. I do not know the answer.
It's well spotted, Jason. A different Jason. Presumably, you can have multiple feeds linking into the system. So one for the limited company and one for the personal, etc.
Absolutely, yeah. You can connect as many bank accounts as you like. If I did have more bank accounts connected, I could also filter. But as I've only got one, it's kind of pointless.
Thank you. And then Rob has asked, and I think you might be coming on to this next. So if you are, just say. But Rob's asked, can the software handle properties that are looked after by an agent where they have management charges, they take the repairs off and things like that?
Yeah, so I love it when someone asks the question for the thing I'm going to show next. So absolutely we can, and I will show you that in just a second.
Thank you, James.
No worries. Yeah, but one final thing I actually want to show you before we move on to agents is, I mentioned that the new furnished holiday lets functionality. So what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to filter just on my incoming transactions. And unfortunately, because this is all dummy data, I don't actually have very many large transactions, but let's just imagine that, I've got my Airbnb property and this £100 is from that Airbnb property. So with here, I can just categorize that as holiday lettings, link that to my property that's a furnished holiday let, set the dates, and let's just say maybe they stayed from the 15th to the 17th, click save, and that will now track. But I want to just show you how all of these transactions feed through the platform quickly. So if we go back to the properties page, obviously you can see now this property at the bottom, actually, I hadn't tracked anything before, but now we've tracked some income, we've tracked some expenses. You start seeing that P&L feeding through. But also if we go into 15 Franklin Road, because this is a furnished holiday let, it has this furnished holiday let tab here. And if we go in here, this will actually count the number of days that they have rented the property in a year, just to make sure it hits that furnished holiday let requirement of at least 105 days. And you can obviously filter this through the different tax years. So last year it did qualify because we can see it did 117 days. So the next thing is actually then, how does it feed through in terms of tenancies? So we've already shown you P&L by property, but Hammock also, because we're tailored for landlords, we also show the landlord their rental history for each tenant. which again, really, really useful feature. If I just scroll down, let's have a quick look at Tom first. So this is the one you just saw me track. So we can see that Tom lives at 23 New Church Road. And when I've set this tenancy up, I've said the rent is £420. They pay monthly, and it started in October. So just based on those three pieces of information, Hammock just automatically creates this rent table. And you can see it starts in October. And for every single payment period, it will tell you how many transactions there were, what was due, what was received, and obviously what is the outstanding balance. So you can see this is an example of a really good tenant who's fully paid up. If I go out and just show you another example of one who's in arrears, so you can see this is Robert Green who's in arrears. Robert pays £14.50 a month. And if we just scroll down, you can see for the first 2 months, he paid everything on time, everything was fine. For whatever reason, couldn't pay the rent in November. So he's fallen into arrears. But what he's done since then, he's been paying 2 transactions a month, and he's actually been overpaying. So Hammock just automatically calculates the new arrears each month. And if we want to see what those 2 transactions are in May, just click down here. You can see that he's paid £100 on the 4th. He's paid the full rent on the 19th, and that's kind of why this balance is falling. But to, I think it was Jason's point, both of the tenancies I've showed you so far are examples of properties that I self-manage. So the rent's £14.50, and that is hopefully what hits my bank account. But to Jason's point, obviously you're almost certainly going to have some landlords who use letting agents, and because we're completely specialist, we have a really nice solution for that. And that is where Mark Jones comes in. So let's look at Mark. So when you add a tenancy in Hammock, the first question it asks you is, do you use the letting agent service? So in Mark's case, I've said yes, and you can see straight away we've got this extra box that Mark uses, that this tenancy is via an agent. So my tenant's called Mark, my letting agent is called Moving On. My tenant pays £400 a month, but my agent fees after VAT are £53.65, and Hammock will calculate all that for you. And then if we just scroll down, you'll see that my May and June payments, I've purposely left those missing just so I can show you how this works. So you can see that's why we've got this £800 arrears, and hopefully once I've tracked these payments, this will disappear. So let's go back to the bank feed, and let's find that May payment. Oh, so wrong day. So this is actually the point in every demo. I have to sort of say, ignore that this says child tax credit. It is just dummy data. But what we're really interested in is this amount, £346.35. So this is just a normal month where my tenant has paid the £400 rent. My agent have taken their fees and they've passed the rest over to me. So here we're just going to say, right, this is rental income for Sonny Dean. The tenant's Mark Jones. Click save. But you notice a slight difference here. Instead of it just saying rental income, it says multiple track transactions. And that's because Hammock knows I use an agent, so it's grossing it up for me automatically. So this goes to as £400 of income, 53 of expenses. Going forward, any other month where if all that happens is my agent takes their fee and passes the rest over, it will auto track, it will auto split. So the only months where the landlord or the bookkeeper will have to do anything is when there are those additional expenses. So let's go forward to June. And let's imagine in June, I look at my invoice and I see I've had to pay for a gas certificate. So I've only got £137 this time, even though my tenants have paid the full rent. So again, all I do is just click on it. I say, right, that's rental income for Sonny Dean. And look, without me doing anything, this rent is less than expected. Do you want to create an expense for the difference? I could say, yep. I'm just going to categorize that expense. It could be anything. It's usually fees or maintenance. But as it's a gas certificate, we're going to go maintenance. And again, there's all types of maintenance here, but we'll go gas safety certificate. Click save. And again, it grosses it up for me. So it still knows that I've got the full rent. I've paid my agent fees and I've paid for a gas certificate. So that all kind of happens automatically. On top of that, if the landlord wants to, they can add some notes just to remind themselves what's happened and also to give extra information to their accountant. But equally, they can also attach the invoice. So you can just click here. So if my agent has emailed me the invoice, I can just drag and drop it into here or just find the file on my computer. Obviously, that works great for digital invoices, but what do you do with paper invoices? Well, I guess this is a good time to say that everything you see here is also available on our mobile app. So if you're using the mobile app, you can just take a photo of the receipt and attach it straight to the transaction. So really, really simple. And if we just jump back to tenancies, hopefully, yeah, we'll see the arrears has vanished here. And if we look at Mark, you can see for May and June, even though neither month did I actually receive £400 in my bank account, Hammock knows that I did, and it's created those expenses for me. So hopefully that all makes sense. So if anyone does have any questions on any of this, just stick it in the chat.
Yeah, I've got lots of questions, James. So Angela's asked, when will Metro Bank be included? As she's got lots of clients, do you know?
I don't have a full date on that. I do ask regularly. It's essentially, it's not really our issue. It's the fact that the open banking regulations got updated and Metro Bank haven't updated their API, so we legally can't connect with them. We did used to, we just don't now. So I'm hoping at some point it will, but I actually cannot give a date on it. But okay. Yeah, basically, yeah, I can certainly find out.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. Do you know if the date format would be corrected or will be corrected? I don't know where that was, because all the ones that I can see on the screen at the moment, for example, have all got the right date on.
Are we talking about this piece here, Sunday 19th of June?
Yeah, it said. I think Jason said it was American, so the date and the month would be the other way around. But I've not actually seen it since that was brought up. Anyway, let's we'll have an investigation and see. Caroline's asked, can you split the expenses between properties? So, for example, accountancy fee for more than one property.
Yeah, so really good question. There's actually two ways to do that. So I'll talk you through both. So if all of your properties are just in one portfolio, or if you have an expense which is for your limited company or for your personal portfolio, then what you could do, you could go, right, that's my accountancy fees, and instead of linking to a property, you can switch this over and link it to a portfolio instead. So I could just link that to my limited company. However, I think what the question is probably really getting at is, can I split it across multiple properties, multiple categories, things like that? And yes, you absolutely can. You just click this split transaction button up here. And then you can break this £70 down into whatever you like. So, let's just say £20 of this was accountancy fees, 411 Newcastle Road, and the remaining £50 was, I don't know, cleaning for 15 Franklin. I mean, that's probably an unlikely pair of transactions to be together, but hopefully you get the point. And you can see once they add up, it says reconciled, and there's no difference.
Thank you. Jason's popped a note in saying the dates was on the insurance bit. Over that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe if Jason contacts me afterwards, I'll have a look at that.
Yeah, we can have a look. And then Jason's asked rent. There's more than one Jason in the room, by the way. These are not all the same. These are not all the same, Jason. Jason's asked rent transactions. What does the actions tab do?
So if we go back over here, let's find Robert Green. So let's imagine that in that November, this actually wasn't a missing payment. And they paid me in cash. What I can do, I can just click on here. I can then mark that as paid as a cash transaction, or equally, if I knew I was never going to get that rent, I could write it off. So it just won't expect that as an expected payment.
Thank you. Rob's asked, can the agent fees be set as a percentage of rent rather than an absolute value?
No, and the reason for that is because when there are those additional expenses, it would be impossible to really work it out.
Okay.
Actually, sorry, Simon, just on that, when you set up the tenancy though, yes, you can set it as, so you can say, my rent is 400, my agent fees is 10%, but then Hammock will calculate what that amount is and put that as your fees amount. So you can set it up.
Use that going forward.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Angela's asked, how does the software cope with the property becoming furnished holiday let after being an ordinary let?
So what you would do in that instance is you would just create a new property, archive the old one, set the new one up as a furnished holiday let, and just continue as normal.
Okay. Can you change setting, e.g., when I let myself and later use as an agent, or would you just do the same thing?
You would just end the tenancy, start a new tenancy with an agent.
Okay. Jason, for agent fees, do you tell the software that the agent is VAT registered or not at the startup or setup? campaigns?
Yeah, so you will add like 10% plus VAT or 10% including VAT.
Okay. If the agent has deducted more than one type of expense, is it possible to create more than one expense? I think you've shown that
Yeah.
since that question.
So that would be that split transaction function. Yeah.
Brilliant. And then the last one that I've got at the moment, the date was when we was looking at insurance. Yeah, we'll come back to that one, Jason. Thank you. I assume you can use Hammock for limited company as well as personal names.
Yes, you can. So we have additional features coming for limited companies later this year as well. But yeah, absolutely, you can.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you. That's all the questions.
In fact, Simon, that'll probably be another good excuse for the next webinar.
Again, brilliant. Excellent. We'll get it in the diary.
Okay, cool. So really good questions, though. Asking all the right things. So really good on that. And hopefully I've answered them well. But let's jump forward now to the tax statement, because obviously I've shown you kind of the bookkeeping, the benefits for the landlord in terms of their P&L by property, their rental history per tenant. But this is the bit that you guys are kind of really here for, which is the tax statement. And you can see this is the first place where you actually see the three portfolios I spoke about at the start. Because when I'm tracking transactions, you don't really need to notice that. But let's go in and have a look. So I've got my personal portfolio here. And you can see at the top that I own 100% of this portfolio. I've got one property in here in the property income section. I can then filter this by tax year. So let's have a look at the previous tax year. If I had more properties, by the way, I could filter by property as well if I wanted to. We then get our summary figures here. So what is my total taxable income and expenses? But most importantly, we give you the breakdown of the boxes that you need to submit to HMRC. And then underneath that, you've just got all the transactions by date, by category, by property. This entire page, so the summary, all the subtotal figures and all the transactions can also be downloaded as a spreadsheet. So you can download it here. So in the meantime, when you're still doing the annual submissions, you can just take these figures out of Hammock, stick them into your accounts production software and report their annual self-assessment. Obviously, though, as we move forward to MTD, for the quarterly submissions, you will just submit those directly through Hammock. And I'll talk a bit about that in just a second. One thing for the eagle-eyed amongst you might have spotted is that this one, because I have, because my furnished holiday let is in my personal portfolio, I also have this furnished holiday lets tab. And if we just click on here, you can see I own 100% of this property. Again, all the same filters, but this time we have the boxes that are specific to the furnished holiday let section of the tax return. So you still get everything you need in the sections that you need it. Final thing on the tax statement, because I think this is actually one of the coolest features in Hammock, at least for the accountant. And let's have a look at my joint ownership portfolio. So if we go in here, so this portfolio doesn't have any furnished holiday lets, which is why I don't have that holiday lettings tab. But what it does tell me is that I actually only own 25% of this portfolio, because that's how I set it up at the start. Again, can filter by tax year. And then we get all the same figures that I just showed you a second ago. And it still tells me that, my total taxable income on this portfolio is 10 grand, but my 25% portion of it is here. So Hammock will do that calculation for you. Same with all these boxes as well. And again, when we're coming up to MTD and you're having to do the quarterly submission for James, it's going to add the 100% of my figures from my personal portfolio, plus my 25% from here, plus any other percentages I might have across any other portfolios actually, and it will just add them all together into that one set of numbers that you need to submit to HMRC. But what's really cool is actually if my wife Penny happens to be your client as well, I can just click on Penny. Penny owns 75% of this property, and then you've got all her figures as well. So if you do have joint ownership landlords, they only need one license between them, and you can still get all the figures you need for both. So that is the end of this section. Simon, I don't know if there was any more questions coming through before I move across.
Oh, yeah, I've got, does Hammock deal with making tax digital for VAT filings for furnished holiday let portfolios?
Not yet. We don't do VAT yet, but that is on the roadmap.
Okay. Angela, we will be getting to the costs before the end. And then Carolyn's asked, what happens if the expenditure is capital in nature rather than revenue? Can you track those? Is there a balance sheet?
You certainly can track them. So let's imagine, I mean, it's only £60 again, probably a bad example. But we would just go in here, track that as capital expenditure. We do have quite a lot of balance sheet categories on here. We don't yet have a balance sheet and trial balance for limited companies, but that, when I mentioned the additional features that are coming, that's exactly what I meant. But you can still pull all of these from our report section. So you can go into like the general ledger, you can come down here, you can see the breakdown of everything, including balance sheet expenses.
Excellent. Thank you, James. That's it. I'm just checking that box as well. That's it for the moment. Thank you.
Okay, great. So that's the end of sort of the main part of the demo, but I've just got the last two smaller parts to come. So let's jump over to the accountant dashboard, because this is how you guys are going to actually manage your clients. So I'll jump over here. You can see at the top, you'll see how many licenses you've purchased, how many clients, how many you've invited. And then if we scroll down, you can see, so as your landlords register, they'll immediately appear in here. You can see their name, contact details, their basic information. This is all by tax year, which you can filter through. And then at any point, if you want to go in and actually access your client's account and take a look at it, you can click these three dots, click Explore Account, and then you go in and you have, oh, sorry, apologies. I just need to log in. So sorry, let's do that again. You just click here, click Explore Account, and then you're in and you have full access to their entire account. You can do everything that the landlord can do. So you can add portfolios, you can track transactions, etc. So if we do have any bookkeepers on here, you can obviously manage the entire process. Once you're finished, you just scroll down here, click Exit Account, and then you're back out here. Now, the only thing, so if you were to sign up today, the only thing that you won't actually see on your dashboard is the status column. And that's because this is really here just to show you how this is going to work for Making Tax Digital. So as you probably all know, the biggest kind of, I guess, concern about MTD is the fact that at the moment, you start chasing your clients for data in probably April, and the worst of them don't send you that data till January. And obviously, when we get to MTD, you cannot be spending that amount of time chasing 4 times a year. So the good news is Hammock does it for you. So once your clients are using Hammock, we'll be the ones that are sort of nudging your clients, making sure that they sign off and say they're happy with that quarter. So we'll be the ones nudging Marcus by email, text, and push notifications on the mobile app, just saying, look, Marcus, you just need to review these 3 months. Again, for most of your landlords, it's just going to be 3 months of rent, 3 months of mortgage, 3 months of insurance, maybe the odd maintenance. So they're just going to look at that, go, yeah, I'm happy. Once Marcus says it's ready for my accountant to review, it will switch to green. You'll get a notification that Marcus is ready to review. And then obviously you can go into the account, take a look at it yourself. And then if you're happy, just submit straight to HMRC. So it really should just be a really quick and painless process. So that's the main dashboard. I'll just quickly take you through these other 3 pages. So this onboarding is really just some help for you to actually market the Hammock and get it out to your landlords. There's also a lot of additional stuff that we can do kind of one-on-one as we plan your rollout. But I'll give you an idea of some of the things that are in here. So we've got this landlord one-pager. If I just click on that, you can see this is just a marketing PDF that we've created, just outlining the benefits for the landlord. So you can download that, add that to any emails. We've also got a suggested email template in here. So if you're not sure how to actually message your clients, you can use our email template. Again, just click here. You can just copy this. You just add the link for your firm that I'll talk about in a second, and send that out to all your clients. Really highlighting the benefits for them rather than necessarily talking about Making Tax Digital. And then also underneath here, if you do want to add any images of the dashboard to a newsletter or your website or an email, you've got all of that here, plus some logos. That's the onboarding screen. The invite clients. So this is, I guess, probably the key part. How do you actually get your clients on board? There's 2 ways to invite them. They both the landlord ends up in the same place regardless, but it's just whether or not you want Hammock to send an email or you want to send it yourself. So if you want Hammock to invite them, you just enter their details here, click send invite. They will then get an email saying, you've been invited by your accountant, click here to get started. And then off they go. If you do use this side, you'll see under here who you've invited. Have they opened the email before? You can resend it, delete it. But if you're the person who wants to send out the email yourself and tell your landlords about Hammock and to get them started, maybe using that email template I just showed you, then you can just copy this link. So this link on the right will be the link for your firm. Any landlords who sign up through that just automatically take one of your licenses, and then we start the onboarding process. And then just finally here, if you have any colleagues in your firm who you want to give access to, you can just invite them here, and then they'll have access to your clients as well. So that's the accountant dashboard. Simon, I don't know if there's any questions specifically about
we've
this.
we've got some questions. Neil's asked, he's late to the party. Is the Xero integration working yet?
No, so that is on the roadmap. In most cases, Hammock is really a replacement for Xero, but I know there are some firms who like to use it for like overall firm reporting, and so that is coming. Hopefully this year. Should be this year.
Thank you. Jason's asked, will there be any accountant bookkeeper training offered in order to get the most out of the software? And then Kirsty's also added into that. Is there training or a certification we can do? The software looks great, she's put. So.
Oh, well, thank you very much. There is, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a second when we move to like pricing and support, because that's all wrapped up in the Accountant Mastermind special offer, actually.
Brilliant, thank you. Lorraine has asked, I've got a client who operates a property management company and they receive gross rent and then account to the owner for any expenses incurred. Deduct. So can the software be used by property management companies rather than the landlords?
Yes, it can. So you can still mark the rents coming in, but the payments that you make out to the landlord, you just tag as landlord payments. So essentially what's left over in the middle is your P&L for the property. So yeah, you can.
Thank you. Rob's asked, is it possible to add additional analysis categories for expenditure, or are we stuck with yours?
So we don't let the users add any, and that's just because the mapping, like every category, or at least every self-assessment category, maps directly to a box in the tax return. So we want to make sure that is controlled. But we do regular reviews. So if there's any categories that you want that's not in there, let us know. And if we agree with you, then obviously we'd add it.
Okay, so in this specific example then, James, Rob's asked, if a client spends money from his property account on behalf of his limited company, there would be an account basically where that money could be dumped. I don't know, a drawings account or whatever, where that could then be credited through the director's loan account back into the limited company. So it'd be done like that rather than setting up a specific account for that expenditure.
Yeah, you can still mark drawings, director's loans. We even track the director's loan balances for each director as well. So that should all be fine.
Brilliant, excellent. And then Jason's asked, how do we get access to the promo material?
As in the stuff that I just showed a second ago.
Yeah.
So once you sign up, that will all be in your dashboard. So every accountant who signs up will get a dashboard like this, and they'll just find everything they need on the onboardings page.
Brilliant, excellent. Thank you. That's all of them for the time being.
Okay, so let's just do the final section, which is I just want to jump back into here and just show you, 3 or 4 of the features which are really just for the landlord. But there are also ways that you can use this in your business as well. But these are the things that they're going to get most excited about. So the things I would always lead with. All of this, by the way, is also in the mobile app. So your landlords would literally have this in their pocket. But you can sort of see here, we can see visually how our P&L is going throughout the year. We can even get property valuations, see what our portfolio is worth, see what our loan to value is. For example, if I go into here, let's say I want to get a new valuation on 11 Newcastle Road. I can go, right, I want to get a new valuation. I don't actually know what this property is. Let's say it's a 3-bed semi-detached. Get valuation, and we will pull that value. It's just halved in value apparently. Yeah, the point is these valuations come from a mix of like Rightmove, Zoopla, Land Registry, things like that. So the user puts in the basis of the property, and then we pull that valuation. They can obviously then put in their purchase price and mortgage balance in here. That then updates their portfolio valuation and their loan to value, which is obviously really key for the landlords who are looking to buy additional properties. For those who are maybe thinking, actually, a lot of this information is stuff we need for capital gains tax. That's another module that we've got coming out soon, which basically means that whenever there's any large transactions going through the bank account, both the landlord and the accountant will get a notification to say, look, this might be a disposal. If it is, we will then take the landlord through the steps of the information they need to give, adding their completion statements, putting all the relevant dates and figures in, so that actually then you get the the capital gains tax calculation done for you, and you're never in a situation where you're going to miss that 60-day window. So that's a really exciting feature we've got coming soon. Just going down here, they can also check their occupancy rates. They can see what upcoming payments they've got. They can compare their rental yields. It's actually amazing when landlords see this for the first time, because so many of them don't really think in yields. And actually, even just using these top 2 properties as an example, they're actually worth roughly the same, but this one has nearly 4 times the yield. So if you're looking at your clients and you see these type of figures, what an ideal time to kind of pick up the phone, offer them some help. Say, look, I've been looking at this. Is it worth, either do we need to raise the rent on this property, or should we be looking to sell this and buy another property in this area, because it's giving you a much better performance. So I think there's a lot of advisory stuff you can do here, especially if you tie this into the loan to value. So can they release some equity somewhere to buy another property? And then obviously landlords can see exactly which tenants owe the money and why. So that's a couple of bits there. I'm just going to show you 2 more things. So normally, if I was talking to any of any of these accountants one-on-one, this is the point where I'd always ask, are you a landlord? And if you were, I would ask you if you knew about the change that's coming in 2025. But basically, in 3 years' time, there's some government legislation coming in that says that every rental property in the UK has to be have an energy rating of a C or above. And you'll either face a fine, or you just will not legally be allowed to rent that property out. This is obviously a huge change that's coming for the rental industry, and it's actually quite scary how few landlords actually know about this. Obviously, we found out about this last year, so one of the things we did is we linked Hammock up to the EPC database. So if I go into 15 Franklin Road, by the way, I should say this is a genuine property. I don't know whose it is. I just like the picture, which is why I use it in my demo. But if I go into here and I click on the Energy Performance Certificate tab, whoever owns this property, they last did their EPC in 2018. And as the accountant or the landlord, you can go in and view that. And in this instance, look, actually, if this is a rental property, they're actually going to be fine. They're already at a C. But even if they were at a D, this report luckily says that the potential is a 78. So even if they were lower, they would have been able to get into a C. It then gives you an idea of what improvements you might need to make, what they might cost. You can see, some of these are fairly substantial. If you've got to get paid 14 grand for some wall insulation, you're probably going to need some time to save for that. But also a lot of landlords with D and E properties are actually just thinking, do you know what, I think I'm just going to sell. And the price of D&E properties is already falling, and that's just going to keep happening over the next 3 years. So if you do have if you have clients who sign up, I would definitely say check this, because so many of them won't know. And if you're the person who tells them about this change, and if you're the one who goes, look, well, actually, if you're going to sell, you need to do it now, and you end up saving them sort of 10, 20 grand, they're never going to find another accountant when you're giving service like that. So just a bit of a chance to be a hero, I think. And then the final thing is the document section. So whenever we poll our users, we always sort of say, what do you like most about Hammock? And this always comes kind of top 2. And this basically, for anyone who is on this call, who is a landlord, you'll all know there are just a million things you have to remember, different dates and deadlines. You can even just see from the list here, but I have 1 rental property. I still have 3 different insurance policies, all different expiries. I've got my gas certificate, my electric certificate, my EPC, my tenancy agreements, my mortgage. It's a lot, but in Hammock, I can just upload all my documents in one place, link them to the right property, portfolio, or tenant. So if I ever need to look at a document or check a clause or anything, I can come in, quickly do that. But most importantly, you set the expiry date so that Hammock starts sending you reminders when it's coming up for expiry. So that hopefully is just giving you an idea of a few of the features, which are really not for you, but they are for your client, and they will make your client's life easier, and definitely will be the reasons they want to sign up. So that's the end of the demo. I guess I've got the pricing and the Accountant Mastermind deal to talk about, but I don't know if was any other questions.
There's just one more. Is there for an accountant a drop down for all their clients on it, so we can switch between the two? So how do you, if I'm logged in on that client, how do I switch to a different client, James?
So all accountants will log in initially through their accountant dashboard. They'll have all their clients here to look into. Like if I want to look at Marcus's account, I just click explore account. I don't know why that's taken. There you go. So go into the account, I can do anything I like here. Then I just come back, exit account, and then I'm back, and then I could go into Thomas's account, or and so on and so on.
Brilliant. And there's a search box obviously at the top. If you've got a whole long list of people, then
yeah, you can also tag. You can also create tags, tag users, so then you can filter and go, right, I only want to look at say Sarah's clients, and then you can do it this way. So there's a couple of ways you can do that.
Brilliant. Thank you. Jason says he loves it. And then can the clients get access? So can they log in themselves to do the work?
Yes, absolutely. So that's the main point of Hammock. So I'd say 80–90% of users, you get the landlord to register, they do the work, we help them get set up, which I'll talk about in a second, but then you just have access to the account. Now, I think all accountants have that one or two clients where they know that actually I'm going to end up doing all the bookkeeping. Whether you charge for that as an additional cost or not, it's up to you. But then you can do that as well. But yeah, the point of this really is, look, this is a solution for your landlords. We get them using it, we get them onboarded, and then you just get all the data that you need.
Excellent, thank you. That's it for now.
Okay, so let's have a look at pricing and specifically the Accountant Mastermind deal. So let's jump over here. So as you probably guessed, Hammock is a monthly subscription. The prices you see on your screen are our kind of, essentially our direct pricing or single license pricing. It's all based on the number of properties, and that's it. So I'm sure if you think about your landlord clients, the vast majority, probably 90% plus, will just have 1 to 3 properties. So all of them would just need a starter license, which would be $4.99 a month. If you do have any medium-sized landlords in the 4 to 10 bracket, that would be £10 a month. Any more than that, it's just 11 plus is just £20 a month. And then normally, if it was just a one landlord and they wanted to get set up, we can do like a 1 hour setup call, because most landlords you can get the entire account set up in an hour, and that would cost £79. So, and that's obviously just a one-off fee, and it's optional. However, the deal that we have on for Accountant Mastermind is this. So as I said, the majority of your clients are going to be in this starter bracket. So we've given that the biggest discount. So you can get 50% off that. It's just £2.50 a month. So for the majority of your landlords, you can get them ready for MTD for £30 a year. You also get 20% off Pro and 20% off Portfolio. And it's important to say that these discounts are for the lifetime of the license. So this is not a deal that just expires. This is, as long as you're holding these licenses, this is the discount you get on them. It's probably also worth saying, so however many licenses you start with, let's say you come to me and you go, I've got 43 clients, I want 43 licenses. Every single license starts as a starter license. And so all unused licenses, obviously on day one, I start as a starter. As your landlords register and say, I've got 2 properties, I've got 1 property, etc., they'll stay. If one of your landlords signs up and says, I've got 6 properties, that individual license just automatically jumps to a Pro. If someone else had 27 properties, that would automatically jump to a Portfolio, but everything starts at the 250. And I say, if you don't have any landlords up here, it will never change from 250. So that is the pricing, and obviously you can see at this price, I think for all the functionality, it is a really incredible deal actually. It's also just a monthly rolling contract, so you are not locked into anything at all. The onus is on us really to prove the value and to get your landlords using it and loving it, so that you never want to leave. But it is just a monthly rolling contract, and you can leave at any time. But what I think makes the Accountant Mastermind deal particularly good is the additional support that we offer. So this, I know there were some questions about this before. You get your staff training included for free. So we get all your staff together, not just show them how to use the software, but really help them learn how to speak to clients about it and how to actually market it. You also can get a client marketing webinar. So that is basically, you can invite all of your clients to a webinar. We will host it. We will do a demo of the product. Again, not really focusing on MTD, but just focusing on all the benefits for the landlord, obviously with the aim that then obviously they all sign up afterwards. But then actually, in terms of onboarding support, I mentioned those one-on-one sessions are normally £79 an hour. With this deal, however many licenses you buy, Let's just say you buy 50 licenses, then you get 25 completely free one-to-one onboardings. And by the way, not all of your landlords will need them. Lots of them will be able to just set up on their own, because it is, it's very straightforward. Any additional onboardings you do need, though, after those free ones, you'd also get them half price. So it'd just be $39.50. And to give you an idea what that's worth in monetary terms, let's use the 50 licenses just because I was talking about it. If you took 50 licenses, you're basically getting £3,000 worth of free support by coming through Accountant Mastermind. And almost maybe another better way of looking at that is you're saving 50 hours of training that you and your team don't have to do, because we'll do it for you. And actually, just one final point on that. So when your clients are signed up, often because we're the ones who've kind of guided them through it, they won't come to you with questions, they'll come to us. So we have live chat on the platform. So any questions, they come to us, they just send us a message and we will help them and tell them what they need to do, how, even whether it's sending them a video showing them or talking to it over the phone, etc. So it will saves you a lot of time and support. But equally, if you've got landlords who just, they don't even want to do a training with us, they'd rather just do things in their own, at their own speed, then both you and the landlord both have this training link in both of your dashboards. And if you click on here, this is just a link to all of our training videos, which basically takes you through the entire setup. So, how to add properties, how to connect your bank account, how do you track rent if you self-manage, if you use an agent, and then it goes through, banking things. How do I split a transaction? They're all about a minute long, all very easy to understand. So, really, I just guess what I want to get across here is that this is actually very low touch on your side. Literally the only thing you need to do is just get your landlord to register in the first place, and then we take over. We get them set up, and then hopefully you start getting great feedback.
Excellent, James. So Bob wants to know, how do we sign up?
Really good question. So there's a couple of links I want to post on here now, actually. So the first one is this one. So if you want to sign up, you can sign up here. I'll post it in the chat to everyone. That's the chat that sign up. Obviously, once you sign up, we'll contact you and work out how many licenses you want to start with. It is a minimum of 20, actually, I should have said. But yeah, we'll talk you through that and how we actually roll it out. If people are really interested, but actually you obviously want to run through a few last minute questions and things like that, then you can book a meeting with us. And if anyone would like to do that, it's this link here. And if anybody just wants to email and has any questions or just wants to follow up, then you can use this email address here. And I say that goes to me, but it also goes to a few of my other teammates just to make sure that that we get back to you quickly and efficiently. But yeah, I hope it's generally, I always say this, like that our development team have made my job so easy because the software is so good that it does sell itself. So pretty much every accountant I show it to tends to buy it, which is why we love doing these webinars. We love getting in front of people. So I do hope you all do come on board, and yeah, certainly look forward to speaking to any of you that are interested.
Brilliant, James. Thank you. So those URLs, the links, just click them, book a meeting, and then away we go. Caroline's also said it looks fab. Both of those links are the same, James. I've
just realised.
Yeah.
So that's to book a meeting. So this is the link to sign up. I don't know why that.
Okay, that's the one that everybody wants, basically. That's
right. Yeah. So that bottom one is to sign up.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Once you sign up, as I say, once you sign up, yeah, we'll give you a call, make sure we know how many licenses you want, and then we'll book you in for your kickoff meeting and book your staff training and all the rest of it.
And away you go. Thank you. So Jason's asked, the bundled deal, how long does that last? And do you need to bulk buy? So obviously the deal that you've got through the Mastermind, is that on the initial purchase or does it last?
Yes, it is. So that's the initial bundle. That deal is available to the end of the month. And yeah, so really buy as many licenses as you think you need is what I would say. And because you'll never get them that cheap. So the second bundle, you will never, if you're buying a bundle, pay full price. You'll always get a discount, but you'll never get as good a discount as you get on that first bundle for your Accountant Mastermind. So do think about that when you're trying to work out how many you want to start with. Again, the idea is you take the licenses, you just get your landlords on board, and then we onboard them for you.
Brilliant, thank you. And Kirsty said, did you say there was a minimum of 20 licenses?
Yes, there is, yeah.
They're perfect. Caroline's asked, can a landlord sign up and invite the accountant in?
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
Okay. Can you create manual entries for amounts paid from cash?
Yes, you can. Am I still sharing my screen? I am, aren't I?
Yes, you are. Yep, yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So all you would do, just come back to the transaction screen. There's a purple button up here, add transaction manually. I did this last week, so I'll use this. Let's say I had to get some new keys cut, what to spell. So say I did it today, cost 15 quid, put that through as replacement of items for 22 New Church Road, click save. Only reason I want to actually show you this is because you can see it does appear now in the transactions, but on the right hand side, you can clearly see in blue, that's a manual transaction rather than a bank transaction.
Thank you. And then Angela and Marcel, the prices, the £2.50s, are they plus VAT?
Yes, it is. It's 250 plus VAT. Yeah, sorry, I should have said that.
That's all right. So yeah, 250 plus the VAT, so we can get rid of those. I've only got 3 more questions to go in 4 minutes. Jason's asked, is there any ETA on the TB and the VAT side of it? Do you know more? Can we share more?
It will Q4 this year, so it will be before the end of the year.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So if you've got anybody else got any other questions, you pop them in the box, please. Carolyn's asked, does Hammock connect to Dex Prepare?
Not yet. I don't want to give too much away, but potentially in the works.
Okay, brilliant. Mike's asked, does it work with non-UK properties?
Not really. So, I mean, you can track anything, and you can link Irish bank accounts, which will appear in euros, but it is really designed for UK properties.
Okay.
Currently, we are going to Australia soon and a few other places.
Thank you. And then Harry Sheehan has asked, why are Leeds so bad at football?
That would be Harry, my colleague. That would be Harry, my colleague, who's just snuck that one in there. So fair play.
Brilliant. Right. So that's all the questions. You've got a minute if you want to pop one in the chat box. That's all the questions I've got. If you would like to book a meeting or register, it's the secure.usehammock.com/register/accountant. And if you want to have a chat with James about it before you do that, then it's the meetings.hubspot.com, JA, etc., etc. Anything else you'd like to say, James, before we disappear?
No, just thanks so much for having us. To say the Accounting Mastermind has always been really good for us. It seems to be the type of accountant that we love to work with, people who are forward thinking, tech focused. We've had a really good experience with every webinar we've done and with all the accountants we've got through it. So yeah, I really can't wait to see what comes of this one.
Brilliant. Thank you. And Mark's just put those links back in. Did you say it expires the 30th of June?
Yes,
Mastermind deal. Yes, the 30th of June, not the 20th of June. That's
20th would be harsh because that was yesterday.
It's today, that isn't it? It's the longest day today. It's the longest day today. So that just leaves me. Mark's put typo. Yes, the 30th. There we go. We've got that. We got that. So we've got lots of thank yous from Kirsty and Marcel and Caroline and various other things. So that just leaves me to say thank you, James, for coming along and sharing Hammock again with us. It always. I say surprises me. It doesn't surprise me. This is the 3rd time, and it's always full of energy, lots of questions, and it's a really exciting piece of software for me. So thank you very much for coming along, and thank you to the members of the community that have come along and asked, as always, the great questions. As I said at the beginning of the session today, it's the questions that you ask that make these sessions unique, and there is always something that comes up in order to help everybody. So Angela, yes, you can watch it again, and it'll be on YouTube. You'll get a link as you've come along, Angela, so you'll be able to watch it again and ask any questions and all the rest of it on the link. So that just leaves me to say thank you and goodbye for now. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching this video with James from Hammock, and I hope it's inspired, challenged, and supported you to help your landlords with their Making Tax digital requirements. As always, please remember to hit the like button on the video. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions or comments, just pop them below and we will gladly answer them. On the screen now, you should see 2 videos that we recommend you watch next in order for you to be inspired, challenged, and supported in your accountancy practice.